This is happiness, to be everything at once. Be unblinded, be unlearned, be unbridled and unburned.
Hey everyone, welcome back to a brand new episode of Mood Prep. My name is Dave Nixon, and today's actually on News Day. Today's News Day as I'm recording this. This will go out on the 2nd, and so this is the first podcast that I've done in my 30s. Isn't that exciting? I don't think it doesn't fucking change anything really. It just means that my body has reached a particular number that is round. That's pretty much it really. Otherwise, I feel exactly the same as I did before, funnily enough. If anything, just more evolved. But hey, let's not get too much into that. So today I shared a kind of a little bit of a passage that I found interesting. That it was an analogy that I heard. I think it was actually from Jordan Peterson that I heard, and during 2018, and I sort of grabbed that. I quite liked it, and I was like, how can I, change this, or how can I not change it? How can I make meaning of it that made meaning for me? And I have not written a lot in 2018. And leading before that, I wrote all the time, like weekly. But 2018, I just didn't write at all, I suppose, because I was doing so much of this podcast. That was a way of me to do my expression. But I'm really looking forward to getting back into more writing. And so I put a little bit of time aside to do some writing today, like literally a little bit of time. And it was about this analogy. So the analogy is... you're the surfer, not the wave, right? And that's all I remember Jordan saying. And he spoke a little bit about it afterwards, but from there it's basically, and what makes sense to me is that you're the surfer, not the surf. So things are what they are. You're the person basically surfing them rather than, confusing yourself as the wave. And so there's a lot in this for me. And one of the things I was looking at is like, there's this separation between the control of what you do as the surfer and just dealing with the wave as it is, because the wave will always be what it is. You can't control the surf, you can't control the wave, you can't control all the factors that go into that wave. And this is relevant for so many other things in life, is that you aren't in control of all the waves that come at you in your day, in your week, in your years. And there's some that are somewhat inevitable. So it's inevitable if you've got a sunny day and you're sitting there and you're surfing some waves, that it's probably going to rain at some point over the next month, unless you're in California. And so my point there being is that there's so many outside factors to the wave being what the wave is that if we get invested, or worse, we confuse ourselves as the wave, we can sometimes then start to think that things are meant to be a certain way, that expectations are meant to be made, and you have an idea of how the universe should be. And now, that's a really packed sentence. You have an idea of how the universe should be. That's actually being upset at expectations that didn't occur. So when we get upset about expectations that didn't occur, what we're saying is that, no, that's not how the universe should be. Like, it's really interesting, rather than simply observing it and witnessing it, and being the observer, being the witness. And that's a completely different space. From there, we can surf, and we can have agility, we can have fluidity, we can have flexibility, we can enjoy it for what it is. We see the downs, we see the importance of the downs, not so we can label them as downs, but because without downs, we wouldn't have waves to surf. And sometimes, one of the beautiful things about this analogy is that you can only surf one wave at a time. And if you're on that wave, thinking about the next wave, you're probably going to fall off. You got to be on that wave. You have to be the surfer on that wave. And that forces us to be in that moment. When we're trying to surf a wave, thinking about the next wave, or thinking the next one will be even better or whatever, it's like you're not actually surfing anymore. And chances are you'll fall off, if not now, at some point, because you got to be present for this sort of shit. And the other beautiful factor that I really found interesting is that don't, the way that I worded it for it to make even more sense to me is don't dwell on the swell. It's like, if you missed a wave, that's one opportunity. And the interesting thing is that you'll catch some waves. You're going to, well, you got to commit to waves to actually catch them. So that's the key thing there. But if you're catching one wave, it just means that you're missing so many other waves. And that's okay. That's 100% okay. But commit to that wave. And the beautiful thing about this would be like, well, there's waves that come afterwards. It's like, no, buddy, there's other beaches. There's other beaches. There's other times of the day. There's other times of the year. There's other people. There's different surfboards. Like, there's all other factors. Like, but you can only catch one wave at a time. But fucking catch it. Like, really be there. Really, be on the wave and respond to whatever is, your version of the wave in your day-to-day life. And I think one of the key things for me, like, really looking at this is that we can so get caught up in the idea of expectations and how a year's meant to be, how a day's meant to be, how anything's meant to be. And we start to move into the space of things that are out of our control with the idea is that we should know better of ourselves or of other people or whatever. And it's just like, imagine doing that. Imagine be like, the wave shouldn't be like that. The wave should be like this. It's like, that sounds ridiculous. It's like, well, that's what we sometimes sound like in real life. It's just that the wave is, in real life, the wave's other people. The wave's the market. The wave is your business. The wave is your relationship, which involves other people, right? And it can be affected by the market. Like, the wave is the place you live. Like, it's your education. It's everything. There's so many things that are out of our control. All we can do is surf the surf, right? To be the surfer of the surf. You don't, it doesn't mean that we can't create more change or make change happen and positive change for future generations and all that sort of stuff. But what it really does mean is that we get the ability to choose how we want to respond to that wave that we are currently on in that moment. And it doesn't mean, once again, that we shouldn't sacrifice some of the present moment for the future. That's fine. That's recommended. It means don't be in the future when you're meant to be here now. That's different. Sacrificing part of now for the future is literally putting money aside. It's being wary that you want to be with a person for a long time, that you plan on being here for a little bit. Sure, it's the other thing is just don't take the wave that you're on for granted. There's a big difference in it. It's like, yep, plan for the future, that's fine. Just don't take this wave for granted. Oh, there'll be more waves. There probably will. Well, there definitely will be more waves, but will you still be surfing? That's the other question. How many more waves do you have? Because every single one that you catch is one less than you'll ever catch, right? It's one less. And every single time you're sitting there and you're missing. See, this is the interesting thing about dwelling on the swell. If you're dwelling on the swell and you're fuming over, whatever fuming means to you, over the wave that you missed or whatever, it's like you don't understand. You're missing more waves. The wave's gone. Don't personalize the wave. It just is. And you just are, as you are. Which goes to that old yogi quote, wherever you go, there you are. And that's enough surfing for me today. Team, thank you very much for tuning in. If you found this podcast beneficial, it would mean the world to me if you'd pass it on to someone else that you think would also find it beneficial. If you haven't already, jump on Facebook and search Mood Prep Online and jump in the group in there, and by all means, that's where you ask questions and continue on. Otherwise, I'm out. Until tomorrow, peace and pizza, kick today in the dick, and slay the dragon. I'll see you soon.
To be everything at once, be unblinded, be unlearned, be unbridled and unburned.